there, everybody. I'm Alexis Ward, and this is 12 Faces Psychology. So today I'm going to be talking with you about safety. What does that mean? That seems to be a hot topic right now as we are sort of dealing with the idea of public safety, the idea of personal liberty in conflict with collective concerns and needs. As we are being convinced continually that the need for safety is paramount to all else, including quality of life, including quality of relationships, including the ability to sustain oneself financially. So let's dive in a little bit to the idea of safety, and then I'm going to give you guys 5 tips on how you can really cultivate a sense of internal safety and work with the experience of being in survival fear that's coming up for so many of us right now with all the changes going on in the world. So, just to kind of touch on safety a little bit, what does it mean to be safe? Does anybody really feel safe right now? And I don't mean that even in relationship to what's going on in the world, although this is the biggest test that any of us who are alive right now have ever had in terms of how we can experience global change and still cultivate a sense of internal equanimity. But what does safety mean? When is it okay to feel safe? When are you going to allow your body to release and relax and feel completely at peace? Does that ever happen for you? Is that associated with an idea of having a certain amount of money? Is it about having the perfect partnership? Is it about the right career path and a sense of purpose? What makes you feel safe? What associations do you have with the concept of safety? What beliefs do you have around what safety means, what safety looks like, what safety requires? This is just to kind of get your wheels turning, right? Because basically what I'm going to emphasize here is that external safety is an illusion. Life is risk. Being in a physical body which can sustain damage, which we're given the impression is not long-lasting, which has fragility to it, which has vulnerability to it, is a risk in and of itself. Being on this planet, being in this existential third-dimensional plane is a risk. And there is no way of guaranteeing absolute physical safety at all. There's just not. So no matter how much you do to try and guarantee that for yourself, no matter how much money you make, no matter how big of a wall you build around your house, no matter what you do, no matter how safe of a partnership you're all cozied up in, it's not guaranteed. Nothing is guaranteed in terms of safety. So what do we do with this concept then? How do we not stay in a constant sense of paranoia and anxiety if there's no way to guarantee real safety? And the answer to that, according to me anyway, is to cultivate internal safety. Now, what does that mean? That doesn't mean that you guarantee anything about what your external circumstances are going to look like. That doesn't mean that you guarantee how other people are going to treat you. Doesn't mean that you guarantee that you're always going to have the same career path. It doesn't mean that you guarantee that your house is always going to look the way it looks. Again, no guarantees, right? But what internal safety will get you is mastery over your own reaction to your circumstances. And really, that's the best kind of safety there is. Feeling completely in alignment with your own ability to receive life and to receive the universe as it comes to you, not resisting anything that's being mirrored to you, not resisting anything that comes into the pathway of your journey, is true freedom. So this video is really about how to remove the resistance from the flow of life and to more or less surrender to the process of development that is this existential journey. So really what this means is putting the focus internal instead of external. This is not about controlling your circumstances. This is not about, wearing a seatbelt or putting your mask on or any other sort of thing. This is about how you can create a situation inside yourself where you feel safe no matter what's going on outside of you. Okay, so I've got to say before I get into the 5 things that a lot of this rests on a kind of a core principle here. If you regard the universe as a not even necessarily benefic force or malefic, but if you regard the universe as a force that is driving everything towards a evolutionary progression, then you start to be able to move into the flow of life because you stop trying to manipulate and control all of your external reality, and you start looking at exactly what's coming to you in terms of it being your own creation, number one, and in terms of it being the next piece in an infinite puzzle that is guiding your way back home. And so that process of learning to surrender to that sense of trust, which is a trust in the universe, and it's also a trust in yourself. It's also a surrendering to the idea that you are creating your own reality. It's surrendering to the idea that you are moving forward in the direction of life and that life is guiding you exactly where you need to go, so that you don't need to struggle in that process. You don't need to fight against it. You don't need to resist. You don't need to go out and create some big thing. You need to look at what you're already creating, because that is actually the best guidepost of where you are and what you need in each moment. All right, so the first of these 5 tips to work with the idea of internal safety is to meet your fear. So this means, what makes you feel safe? What makes you feel unsafe? How do you define those things? What do you have wrapped around them? Is it about money? Is it about partnership? Is it about identity? Is it about status? What is it for you that you use to define safety? And when you don't have that and you're in that place of unsafety, take a look at what that's about, right? Okay, so, oh my God, my boyfriend just broke up with me. And now I'm freaking out because he was my security blanket. This relationship was everything I've ever wanted, and it's all falling apart. Now what do I do? Well, guess what? You're having an ego death. Something that you thought was fundamental to your sense of well-being, to your sense of equanimity and peace and internal regard, has just been ripped away from you. Now, why would something like that happen? It happens in order for you to know that who you are and your peace and your equanimity is not dependent on anything external to you, so that you can learn to retake the power that you gave away to that relationship and reassert that inside yourself as a sense of personal self-love. Whatever love you thought you were experiencing as a result of the relationship has to come back here, has to be generated from within. And so in facing that fear, in having that ripped away from you, it's actually a process of self-empowerment, or it can be depending upon your reaction to the situation, which is the whole point of these 5 tips, right? So, number 2 is begin undoing your trauma reaction. So, in the moment, when you're responding to a situation like that, let's use this same example. Your boyfriend broke up with you. You're devastated. You have this major chunk of your life, of your identity, of your sense of emotional fulfillment is suddenly just gone. Are you going to react out of emotional volatility and go into victimization, basically, and be like, this is so unfair, and go into deep, lack of self-worth stuff? And I'm not saying don't go there, because if that's what needs to happen, then go there, absolutely. But there's another choice available here. That is to step back into the witnessing perspective and say, wow, what a surprising turn of events. I was really enjoying that. Wow, I was really wrapped up in that. Okay, well, where did I lose myself here that I became convinced of the idea that I couldn't live without this thing, or that who I am is based on this relationship with somebody else rather than my relationship with myself? How can I take that back and reassert and re-own my own power there? Okay, so, basically, just when something is up for you, you have a choice to either engage with it in terms of just reacting emotionally and going into victim mindset, or you can respond intentionally from a witnessing perspective and look at where this fits in the overall lifespan of how you are developing into a more and more empowered and autonomous person. So either use it to make yourself feel self-righteous and victimized and all sorts of other things, or use it to make yourself feel empowered and understanding and grateful of the lessons and the self-development that can be squeezed out of this juicy experience. Okay, number 3 is ground into the moment. A lot of stuff going on in the world right now, a lot of chaos, a lot of very, very hectic energy, a lot of fear flying around. So I think just any safety program that you're going to implement, you really want to make sure you're grounding into your own body. Feel your feet on the floor, feel the weight of yourself in your chair. Essential oils are great for grounding. Just using things that help you bring you back to your 5 senses. So noticing your breath moving in and out of your body, etc. Noticing the feel of things, coming back into the body, and reestablishing safety within your own body. And that brings me actually to number 4, which is learn to trust yourself by acting in your own best interest. So if you are consistently doing things that are not in your best interest, if you're consistently endangering yourself in certain ways, like let's say you drink a ton, you're depressed, you're upset, it's your go-to, it's your thing, you're probably not going to feel a deep sense of safety internally because you're consistently doing things that are not in your best interest. Now, this is not about judgment or anything like that. This is just about saying, day and night are day and night, right? And you cannot convince yourself to feel safe in your own body if you're consistently putting your body in an unsafe state. So you have to align those things, or else it's just nonsense, right? It's just bullshit. So make sure that you are learning to trust yourself through action. Show yourself that you can be trusted. Show your human being, your little body here on the ground, that you have its best interest in mind and that you are going to take care of it, even when that's a difficult decision to make and it costs you something. All right, now number 5 is experiment with trusting life. Try going a whole day just following your intuition. See what happens. Next time you're worried about something, worried about money, worried about whatever, catch yourself in that instant and say, what might it be like if I didn't have anxiety about this? What might it be like if I didn't choose to worry about it? I can still respond the same way. I can still take the same action to try to address the situation. Can I do it without the fear-based emotional reaction? Can I do it without that? Start to question those things in your life because we are so indoctrinated into the idea that we need money to survive. We need to work to survive. We need all these different things in order to be. But if you know how to just be and to just be in the flow of life and to trust that without doing all the anxiety, all the worry, all the, all the tension, all the fear, then you can start relaxing your body. You can start calming your nervous system down, and you can start bringing yourself out of trauma and into the present moment where you can feel grounded and solidified in your own body. And then you're going to start to have a real visceral felt sense of safety. So just a quick recap, look at what makes you feel safe and what makes you feel unsafe and start questioning some of the principles behind those beliefs. Begin undoing your trauma reaction. Ground into the moment. Learn to trust yourself by acting in your own best interests. Align those two things. And experiment with trusting life. All right, I hope that you guys go out and experiment with those 5 tips and that you start looking at all of this sense of unsafety that's being promoted right now on the planet and start looking at it through this lens of ultimately I am my own authority. I am a sovereign being. I have self-rulership. And what that means is that I absolutely choose my own internal state. I absolutely choose it, no matter what the external circumstances are. And when you can achieve that on a regular, consistent basis, you all of a sudden are going to start feeling really safe. All right. I hope this has helped you today, and I hope that you will come back and see my future videos. Thanks, and bye-bye for now.